Hello, gang. Welcome in. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Conveniently enough, according to my underwear, my name is Matt Murphy, and I have 3 full hours to share with you information, news, educate you on a few things that are going on, and hopefully entertain you all along the way. Thank you for being with us during the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour and whatever amount of time you're able to give us. As I say, we have 180 minutes today, and I hope that you spend every moment with us. That makes me very, very happy. We've lots to do, lots to get into. We start with the pleasantries of the show, and we go from there. It is obviously Tuesday, October 22nd. You probably knew that by now. You're functioning adults. It is 2 weeks to go before the presidential election culminates in Election Day. It really doesn't start on Election Day anymore, but it does finish on Election Day, November 5th. And there's a lot of good things to discuss with regard to the polls and some of the battleground states. And as the race continues to heat up into the final stretch, we are told that the candidates themselves, Donald J. Trump and Kamala Harris, are formulating their final arguments. I believe Donald Trump's final argument should be that if he becomes president of the United States of America, that every 6-piece Happy Meal, every 6-piece chicken nugget at McDonald's in America will have 7 pieces in it. Because apparently that's what Trump do. Did you see that? That was my second favorite meme. I like the one where he's got the glasses on and he's got the drill and he's at the ice cream machine. But I particularly like the one where he's in the apron, he's standing there facing the camera, and it says on the meme, "We're going to fix the ice cream machine and we're going to make Burger King pay for it." There's the laughter of Ken Weaver that I love hearing in the background. He's in the newsroom gathering headlines as we speak. Hello, Mr. Weaver.
Good afternoon, boys. How y'all doing?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing great, man.
I just spent an hour over at Just Love, the coffee shop. You know the coffee shop over there?
Yeah, that's a good place to get a cup of coffee.
I'm looking at that. There's a lot of construction going on that Demon Braun Street.
Yeah, I don't like that whenever I'm going home. I don't like it at all.
Well, here's the combo, and these are first world problems, Ken Weaver, but we need to address them.
Okay.
Because it was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, that y'all, when you were on the morning show, yeah. I blame all of this on you.
Okay.
All of this on you and Johnny B and Dan Mandis.
Well, I'll blame those two, definitely.
Okay. But we had a snow day, and instead of positioning us at the far superior Best Western, they took us over to the so-called Comfort Inn. That's the one where I went in and it's 20 degrees outside and my heater didn't work in my room. And so I went to the front desk and I said, "Hey, my heater doesn't work in my room."
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they'll just give me another room. And he goes, "Okay, we'll be there in a minute." And they brought in, there was a maintenance guy who carted in on a dolly an entire air conditioner unit. And he replaced it while I was sitting there watching TV.
Were you in your soft clothes?
I was in my comfy clothes, you know, the PJs and the slippers.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Hey, buddy, you want a drink too? That's what I'm doing. But I blame you guys because you guys started talking bad about Marble Rye over there at the front desk. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, he'd say, what number? We'd say 209. Nope, wrong.
Wrong.
Okay.
Y'all called him Marble Rye because of his hair, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a throwback to the old Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, I get
thing
it.
too.
I get it. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I mean, he would say, name, Ken Weaver, room, 209. Wrong.
What? Wrong?
Wrong. No room. Come. And then he told us to come back.
Come back?
And there'd be a room.
Oh, wow.
And then finally, but then all of a sudden he said we did have a room.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go ahead.
A lot of confusion. There was a slight language barrier going on, I feel like. And one way or the other, I just remember distinctly that Dan and Johnny B and Ken Weaver, I think Ken Weaver was a part of this, guys, had a lot of fun with this on the morning show on Nashville's Morning News.
Woo, we did.
And pretty soon after that, the gate went up on the back of their property, so we can't cut through anymore. So that's my point, is that there was a time from our radio station that we would cut through the parking lot of the Comfort Inn. Everybody did it.
Oh, yes.
Everybody did
Everybody.
it. And it would cut off, 5 minutes of having to go through the roundabout and seeing all the naked people and all of that. But now, nope. Not anymore.
Nope. Got to go up to Division, and then you got to go about the roundabout.
And cut around.
No, you don't. No,
Nobody
you don't.
knows.
No, you don't.
What do you? Oh, yo,
do,
you
Brother
cut.
Below?
No, you're cutting through the apartment complex.
That's exactly what I'm doing every day.
What apartment complex?
Oh, there's another cut through, Ken. Oh, Ken, you and Bell need to talk about this. We don't need to advertise this on the radio. Otherwise, that one will go away too. Right? If you go up and you take a right, and then it's the next right. It cuts straight through to Demumbrian. You can cut off that roundabout, man.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Well, I'll be.
Oh, and the great part about it is that when you go in one side, everybody's looking at you nasty because they know what you're doing. But by the time you get to everybody in line, they're like, they don't have the guts to do it. You know what I'm talking about?
And everybody on the other side is looking at you like, oh, he's leaving.
I mean, that's exactly right. So you go in, if you suffer that, you go in and everybody look at you nasty because the people underneath the apartments, people in other cars, they know exactly what you're doing. So you go in and everybody's nasty to you. By the time you come out on the other side, everybody's like, oh, he's leaving his apartment. Let's let him in. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Never fails.
It never failed.
Well, see, I'm afraid to do that. I'm the guy that'll get caught, and there'll be repercussions for it.
Well, see, I thought about this, Ken.
Better forgiveness than permission.
Well, I know.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me.
I thought about this long and hard, and because many times that I've done this cut through, I've asked myself, what happens if I get caught?
Yeah.
And then suddenly it came to me. What the hell are they going to do? Tell me to stop?
Who knows,
they're going to put a gate up.
Well, that's right. That's what they're going to do. They're going to go down there to the Comfort Inn. They're going to say, we need to talk to Marble Rye, please. We need your man on the gate situation because we need to put one of those up.
Well, man, they might slap a boot on my car.
While you're driving it?
And anything can happen to me.
Stop it, Weaver. Turn it around, buddy boy.
All right, park it. Let's put a boot on your car. But I don't want you to. Well, we're going to anyway.
The worst thing that would happen is they'll put a gate in that's key carded for the tenants, and you can't get through without a key card.
That just feels like from the beginning of that sentence to the end of it, that feels like a them problem.
Here's what's going to happen to me. I'll try it and get carjacked.
We've been doing it for years.
And
Ken does it one time.
Yeah.
Hey, we need.
We'll be reporting on Ken's demise from being carjacked for cutting through a parking lot.
Homeless Joe's going to get in Ken's car. Are you going to Crossville? You are now.
He'll carjack me with a piece of plastic cutlery.
What'd you do if a guy came in? He had a spork. He spork jacked you. Don't you make me poke you with this spork. I'll do it.
Try explaining that to the cops.
Well, officer, he sporked me. Well, sir, what you do in your private time is really
that's slang, right? What is
your business? No, dadgummit, he poked me with his spork. Sir, once again, I'm gonna have to ask you not to use that type of language.
Sir, we're a family or organization.
We're trying to operate an up and up.
This is Metro Police. This is not Cinemax.
But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, y'all can't be sporking down here.
But I'm serious. That's what'll happen to me. Either that or when I try it, a couple of dumbasses will have been in a crash down there, and I'll get stuck in there somehow and won't be able to get out.
I think he's talking about us, Bell.
But that's what happens to me whenever I try to do these things. However, I did come out on the winning end back a couple of summers ago. I cut through one of those apartment complexes after a concert, man, and I was just free and clear.
That's what. See, it's so liberating on the other end. You feel a little. You never. I mean, Bell, am I wrong? You never don't feel a mild bit. At least for me, I always feel a mild amount of guilt.
I don't anymore.
You know what I mean? I feel there's a mild amount when I take the right-hand turn through the apartment complex, through the underground parking deck. I feel a mild bit of guilt, but all of that guilt is washed away
when
the friendly lady goes,
"Oh,
come on in, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're ahead of like 28 cars now that you were behind."
Throw in the nice little thank you wave.
Oh, you always give the thank you wave. By the way, while we're on the subject.
Yes, sir.
A thank you wave means everything in traffic.
Yes.
Everything.
Absolutely.
Everything. And if I let you into a situation, and I know most of you listeners know this because you're the finest folks on planet Earth.
Right.
But if I let you into a situation that I don't have to let you into, and I let you in, give me that courtesy wave because that makes it a good interaction all the way around.
Shows
I
you
did something
appreciate
nice.
my efforts.
You appreciate the effort. Everybody's happy.
I give the courtesy wave every time.
Every time.
Yes, sir.
I
lift
do
my
too.
hand. I lift my right hand
That's
up,
right.
and I make sure I've got all 5 fingers displayed.
Yes.
That's right. Prominent.
So they don't think you're
Thank
flipping
you.
them off.
Exactly.
Thank you. Because when I don't get the courtessy wave, a wave of regret washes over me. I
should've
want to rear
never-
end you.
Yeah. I should have never been nice
Should
to
have
you.
never been. This
You're
is
a
what I
horrible
get for being
person.
nice. You're an awful person. I just let an awful person do something good. Now they're going to take advantage of other people.
Yeah.
Just a little courtesy wave. Just a little courtesy out here. That's all I'm asking for.
I did something I'm not proud of after leaving one concert too.
One finger salute.
Well, no, I tried to cut through one of the parking lots,
Oh, I remember this.
and I was free and clear, boys. I was free and clear.
Until.
But no, here comes a taxi. And it was one of those minivan taxis.
Oh, those are the worst.
And it sits there right in front of the exit.
Oh, no.
And I was so mad. As people were boarding that van, I was just laying on my horn.
Well,
I mean, I'm 3 foot from them.
I think technically he would have been. Technically, he would have been allowed to get out and beat the taxi driver to death.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was mad, man. I was mad. My wife, she was just encouraging me. I stopped at one point. She said, "Don't stop."
Ram him.
I mean, those poor people. They were probably some nice tourists.
I had to tell Erica one time when she was she flipped a guy off at a NASCAR race.
Ooh. That's not the best judgment.
And no, she didn't. I take that back. I'm telling the story wrong. It was right after Dale Earnhardt passed away. We were at Talladega the same year that Dale Earnhardt passed away. And Erica wasn't that big of a racing fan, but we went, and Dale Jr. was driving the number 8 car. And every time Jr. passed, people in the audience would lift up and they would say 3. And it was increasingly annoying to Erica throughout the course of the race. And she's like, well, he's his own man. He's number 8. Shouldn't they be saying 8? And I think there were some libations involved. So by the end of the race,
But it was all being done to honor his dad, though, right?
well, but I mean, and it was a little over the top. I mean, and I understand it was over the top because it was Dale Earnhardt. But they kept saying 3, and she's like, "Well, he's number 8. He's not." I understand what they're trying to do, but he's the 8 car. He's not the 3 car.
Right.
And so toward the end of the race, Erica stands up and says, "Can y'all not count? 3 and 5 is 8." And I said, listen. I sat her down. I said, listen. I said, I'm with you. I am on your team. But understand something. You're not getting yourself into a fight.
You're getting you into a fight.
You're getting me into a fight.
With people carrying.
Right? So and that's fine too. I've got your back. Let's just make sure we're getting into a fight that I can succeed in. Right. Let's not make sure that we're
And this one ain't it.
Because it's the entire section of the stands here.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, but there you go. So there's traffic on the news and talk station on Super Talk 99.7. I don't even know how we got into that.
I don't either, man.
Cutting through parking lots.
Cutting through parking lots, Marble Ride, traffic.
Getting carjacked with a sport.
I remember what it was. I went over to Just Love to get some coffee, and I noticed that they're almost done with the DeMundrian nonsense. Well, I don't even understand what they're doing. They're just not allowing people to park on the side of the road anymore.
I don't even think they're working on it anymore. I think it's just sitting there like that.
No, Weaver, they're planting plants today, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're on top. They're planting shrubberies.
We're up to beautification now.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. We don't need to be like Murfreesboro. I'm telling you, Old Fort in Murfreesboro, 96, it turns into Memorial, then some other. For whatever reason, they decided to put a tree-lined median in.
Oh, yeah.
That's 4 lanes.
Yeah.
pull up the trees and put in the lanes.
I don't understand why. More than that, when you go down it next time, Ken, notice they're putting these little curbs that are intermittent.
Little flowers in them.
Yeah, and there used to be a place for cars to pull off to temporarily load or unload or park briefly for 15-minute stints of time. All of those parking areas are gone now, and I don't understand why. Why are they eliminating that area for parking purposes or for at least loading and unloading? Well, whatever. I mean, that's Freddie O'Connell's central planning there in Nashville, Tennessee. There you go.
And how much water are we wasting on those stupid plants in the curb?
And there is irrigation.
Yeah,
They
there
put
is.
it. They
It was
put
on the other night.
Oh yeah, they put irrigation in for no reason. I mean, because guess what the drunk people on Demunbrian are going to do to those shrubs?
Water
Pee on them.
They're going to what?
Pee on them.
Well, yeah,
Well,
hydrate them.
that too. I mean, if there's enough of that, then you don't need the irrigation system, I don't suppose. No, they're going to stomp on them.
Yeah, they're going to
that too.
stomp on them. They're going to puke on them. They're going to do all kinds of things on them.
And it makes it, and 8678 writes in all seriousness, it makes it almost impossible for fire trucks or ambulances to go by when they have those trees in the middle of the road and when they have these curbs on the side of the road that prevent traffic from going up on the side.
Yes, sir. Right now, you've only got one lane. And if God forbid, an ambulance or a fire truck needs to get through, there's no way to do it.
No.
You cannot get out of their way.
You can't get there from here.
All right, put my producer hat on. We got to do the title and go to break.
Okay. Thank you there, Bell. I appreciate you. We will, I promise you, get to more content-related issues like license plate readers. A license plate reader technology that Freddie O'Connell said on this radio show just several days ago that he was still studying and considering, and he was strongly in favor of getting it done the right way. Well, I don't know that Freddie was being as forthcoming or honest with us as he should have. We'll talk about that next on the show. We've got David Kustoff, Congressman Kustoff of the 8th Congressional District, to talk about Election Day, what's going on in Washington, D.C. and beyond. That's coming up at 12:35 this afternoon. Steve Antle will update us on Fairview, North Carolina, and parts beyond. Right after that. And in the 2 o'clock hour, Courtney Johnson, who's on the Metro Nashville Council, will stop by to talk about license plate readers, the transit tax, amongst other things. That's all on the way on this edition of the Matt Murphy Show. It's Locks for Trump Day 234. On this Tuesday edition, it is our episode 677. And today's episode on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch is entitled
Matt Murphy, Hypocrite. He'll criticize you for not eating McDonald's, then turn it down himself when it's delivered.
I did too. I couldn't do it.
I was proud of us, Ken.
Me too, Brother Murphy.
I was proud of us.
Well, you know what's downstairs right now, don't you?
I do.
I'm not
giving me
I'm
crap
not
for
doing
15 minutes.
it. I'm not doing it.
I gave you crap before the actual McDonald's showed up. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. Will you eat McDonald's with me? No.
What the hell, buddy? I mean, come on, let's go.
Then it shows up, and you're like, I ain't eating that.
Well, I mean, things got real when the chicken Big Mac showed up.
Oh my goodness, there was a chicken Big Mac and a fillet of fish in there whenever I left last night.
And I asked Ken Weaver. I said, Ken, do you want this? And he said no. And I said, well, I can't. I'm dedicated to getting these pounds off. I got to get these lbs off. But thank you to Rick. Rick, if you're listening, I do appreciate you.
Well, somebody enjoyed them.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
They did not go to waste.
They did not go to waste, so don't fear that, Rick. And I appreciate it. And my grandpa taught me that when somebody gives a gift, you take that gift and you thank them for that gift. And even if you don't use it, you repurpose it for the good of the gift. And I do appreciate the sentiment behind the gift. So, Rick, God bless you. Thank you for bringing it to us. I just couldn't taste it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
No, sir. No.
It would get too good to me.
Slippery slope.
We got to go. 25 after the hour. Bell's like, I told you 3 minutes ago. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin, Tennessee. For the last 30-plus years, they've been helping people just like you and just like me alleviate your pain in a more natural way. Are you tired of living in pain? If you are, I want you to listen up for the next 45 seconds or so, because what if your pain was gone? What if I told you that you could have the freedom and the possibility of living a pain-free life without having to rely on pills, without having to rely on blocking, these shots that block the pain, they cover up the pain. At the Dr. Gill Center, they have helped thousands of people just like you get out of pain over the last 30-plus years, and they can help you too. With well in excess of 60 years of combined experience with Dr. Gill, Dr. Wendy, Dr. Dominic, Dr. V, and the rest of the team at the Dr. Gill Center, they have the knowledge and compassion to make your pain-free life a reality. Take it from me, because I don't just talk about these guys on the radio. I am a patient of Dr. Gill's. I trust this team with my body, and I trust them with my reputation. They can help you get to a pain-free lifestyle. Call them today at 615-882-4838, 882-4838, or visit callmepainfree.com. That's callmepainfree.com. Speaking of that big election night watch party, we've got Glock Store who will be there, and they have another big raffle in store. This thing went gangbusters during the vice presidential debate out at Hop Springs, and we're doing it again at the Ag Center at the Wilson County Fairgrounds in Lebanon. Here's the deal. So the Glock Store comes in, and they are so good to us. They set up their booth, and they take registrations for a raffle, for giveaways that they will announce right there at the big party. Third prize is one of these incredible tactical hydration mugs. I've got one of these in my own possession. I absolutely love it. They use gun-grade material for these mugs. They're pretty cool. You just go look at them at theglockstore.com. You'll see. Second prize is 3 range sessions at the Shoot 270 Rooms, Never Lanes Rooms at shoot270.com. Find out more about that. And first prize is this incredible Glock 19. I want it. It's almost worth quitting briefly my job, signing up for the raffle, and then signing back up for my job. but I don't know that they would take me on the back end. This thing is awesome. It is a customized Glock with Trump's name and his likeness on one side, the American flag and the bald eagle representing the United States of America on the other. You've just got to see it to understand the beauty of this Glock. You can find out more at glockstore.com. And come out and see us on November 5th, Election Night Watch Party. It's going to be, as they say, huge. Thank you to the Glock Store.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 5 minutes. And in Nashville, Metro leaders today going to talk about license plate reader cameras. Metro Police Chief John Drake reiterated his support for them after the seemingly random murder of Alyssa Lockett on the Mill Creek Greenway in Antioch last week. He says they would have helped solve the case faster. The community meeting takes place tonight at 6 o'clock at Cane Ridge High School. Metro Police and other community leaders will be there. They want you there, too. More than 100 people gathered for last night's memorial run to honor Alyssa Lockett, killed while jogging on the Greenway in Antioch. One of the participants recounted that night.
We were taking the trash out and we heard, a noise that we didn't know was gunshots. Me and her were the same age. We both went to school here in Nashville for our doctoral degrees. We graduated the same year. It could have been me. Being a female, we just shouldn't have to worry about that. Being able to go out in public during the day, scared, it's just not something we should have to worry about.
Emotional interview there on Channel 4. Metro Police have charged Paul Park with criminal homicide in Lockett's death. He is being held in the Davidson County Jail without bond. Tennessee's entire congressional delegation sent a letter urging House and Senate leaders to provide meaningful federal aid for farmers affected by Hurricane Helene. This letter comes after the Department of Agriculture last week announced affected states like North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and others would receive $223 million in aid, but Tennessee was not included. One airline says enough to those people who try to get their seats on board a flight when their group hasn't even been called yet.
They're so despised, some airport employees call them gate lice, the people who crowd around before the plane boards, trying to sneak on before their group is called. Now, American Airlines tells the Washington Post it's testing new technology at airports in Albuquerque and Tucson that would alert gate agents with an audible noise when a passenger tries to cut in line. If the project is successful, American will expand it to other airports as well.
That's Sherry Preston and the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Oftentimes we slowly lose energy over time, man, and we just aren't able to accomplish the things that we used to accomplish. Well, this is natural in a lot of ways. As you age, you're not going to be able to do some of the things that you used to be able to do at the age of 25 or 30 when you're 45 or 50. But your activity and your intimacy in the bedroom should not be one of those things. And if you've noticed a decrease in this, I understand that it's a sensitive topic, and I'm not here to get into your business, but I am here to offer you solutions. Well, or at least I'm here to offer you a company that offers you solutions. That company is Tennessee Men's Clinic. Evan Bass and his team of experts, urologists qualified to help assist you in finding out the source of the issue and getting to the bottom of it and finding a solution for you. They've done it for thousands of men, and they now can do it for you. Is it T-levels? Do you know? Have you checked your numbers? If not, why not? Let's go ahead and handle this situation, gentlemen. It's time to take care of our business and get this behind us. Let's call the Tennessee Men's Clinic today. Go online to find out more at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. And then do what so many other men have done in our community. Get with the Tennessee Men's Clinic. There's a location in Franklin, another in Midtown. Here's that telephone number to schedule that appointment. Let's do this, men. 615-208-9090. 208-9090.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products? With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
Friends, it's getting cool outside. That means you're using the heater more often. If you've not taken my advice and called Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, don't worry. There's still plenty of time. They can get you scheduled for that maintenance call that will never cost you above $125. That's a commitment that they've made for years now. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling will come out to your residence, and no matter how many heating units you have at that residence, they're going to check them all. They're going to clean them all. They're going to make sure everything's working as it should. They'll advise you on any issues, but their goal is not to upsell you. Their goal is to make sure that your heaters are operating in a way that is consistent with the manner in which you need them. In other words, they're going to be there when you need them, providing quality and reliable heat. And if not, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. They can help you out replacing those units. Jeff Eddy will give you the straight dope, the real skinny on what's going on with your heater. And you deserve that, right? You deserve a heating and air man that you can trust. Jeff Eddy is that man. Call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling today. Here's the number, 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or go to efficienthvac.net. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Jeff Eddy. And if your heater's not ready, call Jeff Eddy. I have made an error, Bell. Well, actually, you did too. We both made an error, and I apologize. We regret the mistake.
Wait. Don't speak for me till I know what the mistake was.
Well, it's our show, right? I mean, it says Matt Murphy Show, but it's really Matt's and Ken's and Bell's. I mean, we're all one big happy family. We all
the Matt Murphy Show has many cogs.
Well, that's right. I mean, it says Matt Murphy Show, but it's all of our show. It's your show too.
It's a team effort.
So the Mickey Mouse Show was not just Mickey's show.
That's exactly right. It's a team effort. So by extension, I can blame the listeners for this problem.
Yes, sir. That's what we'll do whenever Paul calls us in.
It's Jason's fault.
That's right. It's Jason's fault. By the way, we all got called communists. Every single one of us got called communists. So, oh, crap. I just deleted the super text line accidentally. I was trying to click on it. Yeah, Jason said, what kind of communist are you that you turned down? Well, he used a few expletives that I can't use on the radio. He's like, what kind of communist turned down McDonald's? Free McDonald's? What kind of human beings are you?
Those with proclivities to get fat?
He said, I got it back up. He said, I'm convinced that y'all are a group of serial killers. Who the bleep turns down McDonald's?
That's a good one.
Then he also said, does Bell have a Cat Dudes for Harris bumper sticker on his car? No, I can confirm that is, well, I don't know, unless you put it on there recently.
No, that would never happen.
So we made a mistake. Collectively, team, we made a mistake. David Kustoff, the 8th Congressional District representative out of, he's not quite Memphis. He's like Germantown over there. He's
in the area.
He's like everything but the city of Memphis. Cohen's the city of Memphis, and Kustoff's to the east of him. He's on tomorrow at 12:35.
Oh, okay.
Not today at 12:35. Tomorrow.
That'll give us time to remember why we were mad at him.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out. We were mad at him for voting for something, and we couldn't figure out what we were mad at him about. We tried to
get him to come on, and he wouldn't come on.
Oh, they run, man.
Yeah.
If they know that you're a little annoyed at them, they run. I'll tell you who didn't run. Scott Desjardins. Remember, we were mad at Scott, and he came on, and he faced the music.
And he said, I knew you were going to blast me.
He said, but that's cool. I mean, we got to get beyond this. Burchett's the same way. We can disagree. You know who's not the same way?
Andy Ogles.
Andy Ogles.
Mark Green.
It's not about me. It's not about Bell. It's not about Ken Weaver. It's not by extension about Brian Wilson or Dan Mandis or Chris Hand or any of the rest of us on Super Talk. We are a place, an electronic place, whether it's on the radio or on your internet stream. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you consume us. I mean, there was a time where it was just the radio. Well, now it's the radio, and it's the internet, and it's your phone, it's your laptop, it's your computer. You can find us on Super Talk TV, for better or worse. When it's my show, it's worse. Super Talk 99.7 WTN is there. Anywhere you go. But we act as an electronic public square where people who are concerned about their community, whether it be Nashville and license plate readers, and the crime rate in Nashville, and the inability of Mayor Freddie O'Connell to come to a conclusion or a decision on it, whatever it might be, whether it is Wilson County or Sumner County or down in Columbia or wherever it might be in the far reaches of Middle Tennessee, we're going to be there speaking truth to power. We're going to talk in a way that the community wants to talk. We are a gathering spot for those types of conversations. And as such, one would expect, because there are many, many people gathered at this electronic public square. Imagine the public square, the old school public square downtown. Imagine, whatever, Franklin, Tennessee or Gallatin. They both have great public squares. Imagine people gathering to listen to people speak and asking questions of their politicians, asking questions of their local elected leaders. That's what this radio station is all about at our essence. We are a reflection of the community. We act as a ballast and a mirror to the community about the prevailing mood that you might be in on this, that, or the other thing. And as such, one would expect that not for Matt Murphy, not for Dan Mandis, not for Brian Wilson, not for Chris Hand, not for any of us, but for you, the community, that the elected leaders would want to join you in a discussion about the important matters that are going on in our world nowadays. I'm here to tell you that Mark Green is absent. Oh, he's in D.C., and he sends out press releases. But when's the last time you saw him at a function? I mean, maybe he's going to functions that I don't go to. I don't know. I present to you that your 7th congressional district, and listen, I've never said a bad word to Mark Green. We've had disagreements about publicly available information from time to time. I'm not casting aspersions about this man's character, although, frankly, with some information in the news, maybe I could. But I'm not. I don't do that. I'm fascinated that he doesn't see a more pressing need to speak to the people of the 7th Congressional District directly. And maybe he's doing that and I'm unaware of it. Maybe he's doing that and I just don't see it. But I'm looking. And I feel like many of you have noticed it as well because I get communicated with you. I mean, well, you communicate with me. I said that improperly. And I don't get a response anymore. And I stopped trying, I'll admit to you. We had him on, never had a crossword. He got mad at me. It was the day I was on Brian Wilson's show. I was filling in for Brian, and we had him on that day. And we asked him questions about a report from Congressman Mike Turner that there was a serious security there was some serious security questions about the American public that needed to be made public, and we asked him about that, and he got mad at me for asking him about that. And I was like, look, I'm doing my job, man. My job is to provide information to the public. My job is to ask you these questions. I don't know why you're so mad. And like 30 minutes later, he tendered a letter of resignation. Remember that? He said he wasn't running for re-election, and now he has since rescinded it.
The irritating thing, though, was that you were asking him about information, and his claim was, I'm not going to talk to you about classified information. Then it turned out he hadn't even been to the SCIF yet to see it.
Right. He didn't know anything about it, which is all he had to say. But it was a day of confusion because Mike Turner was suggesting that there was like a major security breach and lives were at danger. It turned out not to be true.
No, it turned out to be him trying to pimp for his bill, and he was trying to make his bill look necessary.
Right. And so he was overstating the case and scaring the hell out of the American people, which is what we were trying to get to the bottom of. Is this real or phony baloney stuff? Mark Green, what say you? And he gets mad at me for asking the question, how dare you? I'm not going to give up American secrets. Or whatever. Well, since then, he's gone missing. I do not cast aspersions, and I try not to make comment about individuals' private lives. Until such time that I believe that potentially things that are going on in someone's private life may impact their ability to do their job as a representative of the 7th Congressional District in this example. And I'm not afraid. There are some that are very afraid of going there. I'm not afraid of going there. Not at all. The day I become afraid of these politicians, they serve you, not the other way around. And sadly, some of them feel like that it's the other way around, that we're here to serve them. I am nothing but a voice, or I attempt to be a voice of the people. And it occurs to me that there are some political figures in the state of Tennessee that don't feel answerable to the people. They feel immune from all of that. And Jason is right. I also asked him who his financial advisor was. Remember, his financial advisor up there in Cookeville or wherever it was he like outperformed the market by 187%. He was like the second congressman in a list of congressmen that he was second in terms of congressmen that outperformed the market. And I asked him who his financial advisor was, and he got mad at me. I'm like, what? He said, I'm not going to out that I'm not going to do that to that person. Well, why not? Because he claimed that it was just his financial advisor that was doing such a great job outperforming them.
And that the Democrats would go after his financial advisor if that.
I mean, it just came off as as disingenuous, is what it came off as. And then there's Andy Ogles. Andy Ogles in 2022 was accused of lying about loaning his campaign money. I found out about that. I was fresh into town. I'd not been in town for 6 months. And I got information that said this is true. Andy Ogles claims that he loaned his account some $350,000. He didn't loan his account any money. He's doing that to try to keep others out of the primary race. He's trying to big money other people to keep other people out of the race. This was the information that I was told, and it turned out that that information was correct. And so we got crossways. Ogles wouldn't come on the show for a year or so. We repaired that after he was elected. I felt like in order to serve you, I would hold my nose and I would repair that relationship so that I could have him on air so that he could inform you, the citizens of the 5th Congressional District, what's going on in Washington, D.C., and how he is serving you. And that was okay for a hot minute. And then it turned out that everything that we knew then that he denied then was true. And now the FBI is investigating him. I don't know if there's anything there. I have no idea if there's any heat there. But I know this. If I was a sitting congressman or a radio host or anything else and I had done nothing wrong and the FBI was after my ass, I would be on every radio station that I could get on in the 5th Congressional District. I would be in front of every television camera that I could get in front of in the 5th Congressional District. And I would tell the voters of my district that this is a load of garbage and I'm going to fight it until I am exonerated. And I've seen none of it with Andy Ogles. I just wonder if these types of things are preventing more effective representation amongst those in Middle Tennessee. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. I don't dislike Mark Green personally. I don't really know Mark Green personally, honestly. I don't feel like Mark Green allows the people that he doesn't want to know him. And I think maybe we're finding out why. Ogles, same deal. If you hear me get very passionate about these things, it's not because I have a dislike for Ogles or Green or anyone else for that matter. I have a dislike for dishonest government. I have a dislike for people who achieve positions of political power and use it for personal gain as opposed to the gains of the constituents that they put their hand on a Bible and swore to protect and to serve. That's why I get upset. It also upsets me that I went into a voting booth and I voted for Andy Ogles. And I'm man enough to tell you how much I regret that. I do. I regret it because of how he has acted over the last 4 months. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. And, the conservatives in our listening audience, the libertarians in our listening audience, they want to know, Murphy, what can I do in my personal life to help advance a more conservative cause or a more conservative agenda? Well, I can tell you one thing, and it starts and ends with coined. Don't spell it like the coin, like a coin. Spell it like this, COIGN.com, coin.com. It is the conservative credit card. They don't give to woke causes. They don't funnel millions of dollars into woke candidates. They advance conservative values and conservative charity. Earn cash back while fighting back. Apply now at coin.com. That's COIGN. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from 99.7 WTN. If you're thinking about advertising this year in 2025 and beyond, you have to combine the power of radio with the power of digital. We do it here flawlessly, and our sales team can hook you up with a package tailored to your exact needs. So if you want to advertise with me. Advertise with 99.7 WTN. Go to the website for more info, 997WTN.com/epic.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
The dual power of radio and digital advertising on Super Talk 99.7 WTN has always delivered for our local advertisers. Now's your chance to book your 2025 marketing campaign early for savings and incentives. Just reach out today to your local ad representative or go to 997wtn.com/epic. History will be made when Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for minors goes before the U.S. Supreme Court. I'll tell you about it at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. It is a couple of minutes until that 1 o'clock newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Would love to hear from you, 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. Look, I've got the I understand that supporters of the two political figures that I have been discussing over the last 10 or 15 minutes are mad at me, and that's fine. It is not a personal issue, I promise you that. I understand that a personal level of support sometimes prevents you from seeing the forest due to the trees. I'm not blaming you for that. I understand those personal connections can create a lot of forgiveness. My interest is in best serving the people of the 5th and 7th congressional districts. And I don't know that that's going on right now. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I don't know. 7827, you do what you need to do. They say, I'm writing you in instead of Ogles when I vote tomorrow morning. I'm not asking for any of that now. Not asking for any of that. Hey, Matt, isn't the 5th district the one that Robbie Starbuck had his name taken off the ballot? That is correct. That is the same one. Scott Golden made sure that happened with the Republican SEC. 615-737-9986. More calls coming up, plus an update out of North Carolina. And Courtney Johnston's coming in in the 2 o'clock hour to talk about license plate readers and the transit tax. That is all on the way on Super Talk.
It's 1 o'clock on the dot this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for kids is headed to the U.S. Supreme Court. And Channel 4 says an ACLU attorney will be the first trans person to argue before the court. ACLU legal director Cecilia Wang calls 41-year-old Chase Strangio the leading U.S. legal expert on transgender rights. Well, the 9 justices will hear arguments on December 4th in an appeal by President Joe Biden's administration of a lower court's decision upholding Tennessee's ban. Tennessee last year banned hormone therapy and puberty blockers for minors, and doctors can face consequences if they violate that ban. Election 2024, Metro Council members and others who support the transit sales tax increase will be trying to drum up voter support in North Nashville today. They say it means more economic opportunities and jobs for underserved areas through 24/7 bus service, new park and ride centers, and upgraded bus shelters. Opponents think it's a waste of taxpayer money.
First problem that most people identify when they talk about transit is actually congestion on the interstates, getting in and out of the city. This plan does nothing to address that.
The Choose How You Move transit plan sales tax increase is on the ballot with the presidential candidates. Early voting's underway through October 31st, and Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Right now in Murfreesboro, a new connector bridge is opening over the West Fork of the Stones River. It's 3 lanes with a sidewalk on one side, multi-use on the other side, and it's going to let drivers access the I-24 interchange and State Route 99 without having to travel through the Cason Lane and Old Fort Parkway intersection. If you know, you know. 3 people were arrested last weekend for stealing thousands of dollars in Lego kits, assaulting a Walmart employee on their way out the door, then leading police on a chase in Wilson County. All 3 suspects booked into the Wilson County Jail. Tyler Chandler with Mount Juliet Police telling News 2 those Legos can bring in big bucks on the black market.
There's some very expensive sets, and some stores sell collector item type sets, which then sell out, and people then try to sell them for a higher profit.
He says stealing Legos has become a trend here in Middle Tennessee and across the country. And it's a big 3-day global financial gathering kicking off in Russia, defying the current U.S.-led dollar world order. We get more from ABC's Tom Rivers at the foreign desk.
President Putin is hosting the so-called BRICS summit. In attendance, big players like the leaders of China and India among the 36 nations represented. Observers see it as part of efforts to showcase support for the global south amid spiraling tensions with the West while helping to expand economic ties. Proposed projects include the creation of a new payment system that would offer an alternative to the SWIFT global banking network.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. Right now, we are bringing results for our clients using both our radio and digital assets. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not only here in Tennessee, but of course, across America. If you want to jump on board, again, we're offering great incentives. Find us online, 997WTN.com, and let's talk.
Defense Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm specializing in physical security consultation and active violence mitigation training. That is a fancy way of saying they help make your life more safe. If you're a business owner, if you're a decision maker within a business like a manager, or if you control an environment like a school or a church, any place that people gather, I invite you to listen up because this could be not only important, but it could be life-saving. Brink Fiddler and his team at Defense Systems help you understand what to do in the unlikely event that you see violence break out in your workplace. Oftentimes nowadays, sadly, that violence is in the form of gunfire and gun violence. And we see these things happening around the country, and we think, well, that will never happen to me. Well, I certainly believe that you are correct, but hope is not a plan, friends. It's time to get trained. Cumulus Nashville utilized this training program for their personnel, and it is tip-top. The consultation includes security design, readiness for residential projects, multiple corporate facilities. They do commercial buildings and school systems. They do it all at Defense Systems. I invite you to get them in your life by contacting them at their website, defensesystems.com, or making the call that so many others have made to Defense Systems. That number is 615-236-6484, 236-6484. Hope is not a plan. It's time to get trained with Defense Systems. Two weeks, hot dog. We've got 2 weeks to go. The final push is upon us as Donald J. Trump makes his case before the American people, as does Kamala Harris. She's making her way around the country, as is Donald Trump. Apparently, Donald Trump is set to sit down with, he's about to sit down with Joe Rogan at some point today, we believe. Maybe tomorrow, but they have nailed that one down. That is apparently a 2 or 3 hour adventure when you sit down with Joe Rogan and his podcast. Kamala Harris, at one point, her team was lying about the possibility of her sitting down with Joe Rogan. Where do you put those possibilities, Bell? Where do you think the possibility on a scale of 0% to 100%, where would you put the possibilities of Kamala Harris sitting down with Joe Rogan over the next 2 weeks?
Probably about 15% because she's rejected the offer that Joe has made because he wants both of those guys on his podcast.
Mm-hmm. What was the offer? Do you know?
To come in and sit for a full-fledged interview on his show that has I don't even remember what his stats are now, but he's got a massive listenership.
No question. I mean, he's the most listened to podcast on podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, of all categories, of all podcasts, he is the most listened to thing on podcast. And rightly so. He's very entertaining. He's good at what he does. But when you walk into the arena with Joe Rogan, you do so, not necessarily exclusively under his rules, but he keeps you confined to the basic rules that they provide. And part of that is it's going to be an unedited process, and it's going to take around 2 hours. He wants at least that in order to get to know you, to probe into some of the questions, to get into the background, and to figure out where you live and where you breathe, whether you're an entertainer, a musical figure, a superstar, whatever you might be, or a political figure.
His team has instructions that when they request somebody for a podcast, they ask for 3 hours. And if they have to edit down the 3, they will. But if they feel like it's got enough momentum on its own, they'll post the whole 3 hours.
Wes from Franklin writes in and says, I guess Matt wants us to go vote for the ultra-left-wing graveyard felon Megan Barry because he got his feelings hurt. No.
That's not fair. That's exactly what you said. You said go vote for the lady who loves the cemetery.
Absolute moron. Wes from Franklin, you're an absolute moron if that's what you heard, okay? I mean, there's no in between. If that's what you heard me say, then you either don't hear correctly or you're a boob. I mean, you pick. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. I have an expectation that the people that are elected servants in the individual districts in which they serve actually speak to the people that elected them there, the bosses. Mark Green's not the boss. You are. So if that's what you heard, you're just a suck up. You're just kissing Mark Green's butt. That's all you're doing. And If you think that's the way that relationship should go, then you get the representation that you deserve. And that is someone that walks into a room and expects people to kiss his butt, as opposed to the way that it should be. And that is someone that walks into a room with his hand out, wanting to talk to the people that are his bosses, the individual constituents of the 5th Congressional District. Now, once again, I'll reiterate, I don't have anything personally against Mark Green, and his private issues are his private issues. Only when they begin affecting his job performance do I think that that should be a matter of public conversation. Other than that, I wish him and his family the best. But I fear that that is interceding. His private issues are interceding with his public duties. I believe that's why he's been absent, it seems. Now, I am told that he is at some sort of Reagan dinner in Springfield tonight, and I hope so. I hope that he answers questions over there. Remains to be seen whether or not that is the case. So that's that. Election day is 2 weeks from today, and obviously the Democrats are getting somewhat nervous as Donald Trump has performed quite well in the battleground states. As I've been telling you, that there are 5. We could extend that to 7. I'm comfortable with that, especially considering what's going on in North Carolina right now, with many of the rural regions still without power, unable to get some basic necessities to continue living, much less considering to go and vote. We're going to update you on that coming up in just a moment, right after we talk with Michael in the borough. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Hello there. How you doing?
I'm great,
How
Michael.
you doing?
Thank you.
All right. Down in the Chattanooga area, my TV is running an ad that my sister called. Sometimes she gets things upside down, but she said, they're saying that they're going to share your information if you vote. Everybody's going to know whatever. And, that's going to keep people from going to vote. I said, well, if that's true, then yeah, that's a deterrent, I would think. I said, who's running this? Oh, my TV. I said, no, who's running the ad? I just saw it on my TV. So if y'all want to look into that and see, hey, see what the heck
Wait. I may have missed something. What are they saying?
Okay, she says they're saying that if you go vote, this election right here counts, and if you go vote, though, they're going to share your information. Everybody's going to know who you voted for.
Who said that?
That's what I'm asking her. Who is it? Well, my TV was running it. I said, well, but who ran the ad? And I couldn't get anything out of her, and I put it on my TV just to look for a while, and I never see it come up again. And you got your vast staff there,
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Never something down like that. But I don't know, man. I thought, now that's interference. Of course, that could go against both sides if that's the truth.
I do not. I don't know. I would need to know more information about it. So this was like a television, it was an advertisement in Chattanooga?
Yeah, on
that
my
market,
TV, which is a national. Yeah, out of the CW market, I think, who runs that particular station out of Chattanooga. I think it's CW. But and we're getting hammered, man. There's a black station in Dawson, Alabama, that'll come in across here now and then, and there's a lady's sister, somebody, and oh boy, she preaches. Oh, you got to vote the right way. You got to vote the right way, and all the callers come calling in,
Well, I would love more information about the nature of the advertisement that you're talking about. I would say this, that our votes are private, and unless you publicly disclose, thank you, Michael, for the call, unless you publicly disclose those individuals that you plan on voting for, that privacy of that vote is sacrosanct, and no one, to my knowledge, is being forced to announce for whom they are voting. I would hope that you would be proud enough of it, that you would offer your reasons, your explanation, and offer who you're voting for. But if you choose not to do that, then that is the sacrosanct nature of the secret ballot, which up until pretty recently has been the way that we go about our business in the United States of America. So I would not be shocked if that ad is running, because there's a lot of fear-mongering that goes on this time of year. I'll give you another example of ads that are fear-mongering. This ad that's running about Donald Trump, Kamala Harris paid for it, talking about Project 2025, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do that, and it's Trump's Project 2025. I mean, the thing is just chock full of lies. Chock full of lies. Donald Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. I wish the Heritage Foundation would come out and pull it, although it doesn't matter at this point, one way or the other. This is a conservative wish list of things that they would like to see happen had they all the votes in order to accomplish those things in Congress, in the Senate, and in the White House. Well, they don't, obviously. And many individuals in congressional office disagree with certain aspects of Project 2025. This is one think tank organization coming out with their kind of dream scenario with regard to what they believe is right and not right. The liberals took that and they mischaracterized it in many cases. They are taking it out of context in other cases, and then they are throwing it on Donald Trump as if it's a part of his platform, something that he's repeatedly said isn't true. But that doesn't keep them from running ads about it, which is what they've been doing. I mean, Kamala Harris's campaign and others. More on that coming up in just a moment. Let's spend a few moments with our man, Steve Antle, who is over in Fairview, North Carolina. We've been checking in with Steve all throughout the course of the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, and it's an ongoing situation as the cleanup continues, as the recovery continues, and Steve Antle joins us on the Matt Murphy Show this afternoon. Hey, Steve, I'm glad you called in. I'm glad you were able to share an update. How are you?
Hey, good. Sorry, I hated to keep pushing you all off, but we had the procession coming into Fairview for our firefighter that lost his life in the line of duty during the floods. And I tell you what, it was just unbelievable. There's fire departments and EMS from all over the country. I mean, I took video and stuff. I'll put it on my Facebook. But so there's that. And I went and voted the other day, so we got that knocked out.
How is that? Talk to me about, I want to talk a little more about this firefighter who lost his life, but I also want to talk about voting, because there have been questions about whether or not the rural areas are being taken care of with regard to voting with only 2 weeks to go. Have you had any conversations about that, Steve? I mean, you just mentioned that you were able to vote in the small community of Fairview.
Yes. So they've got a couple places out in our area that are doing, of course, the early voting. I voted at the library in downtown Fairview, Greater Fairview, so as it may be. And the voting has been brisk. I will tell you, I waited in line. I probably was there about 20 minutes, but some of the lines were an hour or two long when they first started. So people are getting out to vote. It's not something that people are taking lightly. Yes, it's hard for a lot of people, but I think people are just networking and trying to get everybody. We're really pushing for the early voting, especially given the situation here, and all of my family's doing the same thing. We're just trying to get those votes in the bag now, because we don't, every day is different out here, and you don't want to get delayed getting to the polls on election day. So, but yeah, people are getting out and they're voting, and the
That's
polling place that I've been by is good. So,
what is your and I know that it's difficult to expand your field of vision because it's hard to know when you're in Fairview what's going on in Burnsville or Asheville or Henderson. I mean, a lot of different places. I know you're around and about, though. Can you give us kind of a view of 50,000 feet where we are with regard to power and water and these types of necessities to try to start getting life back to normal? I know that obviously that's way down the road for people that lost their homes or their homes are structurally unable to be occupied, but just kind of walk us through from that long view what's going on right now.
Power seems to be leading the way. The crews work really fast. They can literally put up poles down, these long country roads, just one after another. And we've already got power all the way out to Nesbitt Chapel, and they've got power to houses out in like the hardest hit areas, and they've got power out to Craigtown where the big slide was. Now, individual houses is another story, so that's kind of what they're concentrating on now. But they've got, at least in our area, they've got power out to like the main intersections and poles out there. Water is still going to be, Lord, it could be weeks or months for a lot of people. And Spectrum is lagging far behind all of those other people because they really can't do anything until the power companies get situated. But I did want to touch base with you about our situation with the Red Cross. So I'm just going to tell you in a nutshell, all of our local people that were running that outfit, they all mutinied. And so over the weekend, the guy that was brought in from out of state, well, he's been reassigned by Red Cross elsewhere, and the Red Cross has hired one of our local people to be the director of that base. And she told them, and I was in the meeting, so I know what was said, and she told them, she said, it's going to be our way or the highway. If you don't like it, that's tough. If you want to pull your funding for me, that's fine, but we're going to do what we're going to continue, what we've been doing. And so far, we're back on track with that. So, yeah, the locals rose up.
Good. The way it ought to be.
And I'll keep you posted on matters related to that if something changes. But for right now, I've started developing a list of individual people and families we're trying to help. I posted over the weekend about a fellow that we didn't even know was back up in one of the hollers. And I need to express this to your audience. So mountain people are very stubborn. They're very proud. They're very private. They're very they can be difficult sometimes. And they're not always good at expressing not only their needs, but they're not good at expressing like what a situation is. And so that's something that I kind of have firsthand knowledge of because of my family. So I kind of know how to go about getting information out of them. But, this poor fella that we've been helping, if I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times from him just in the last few days. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. And I keep telling him, you've lost everything. You've been through this. We're going to help you. And you have to force feed, it's just it's their personality. And that's mountain people.
Right.
But they're just so, I don't know. I just love them. But you literally have to drag information out of him. And I didn't know when I first met him, he made it sound like it was a lot less than it was. And then when I started digging into details and getting him to talk, it was just so much more. I mean, he was in this house with his elderly mother and his sister and 2 small children, and they all got swept down the river. And his daddy's casket came up out of the ground because his daddy was buried in the backyard. And he had to go find a casket after the storm, and he drug it back up there, and he couldn't get it reburied. And then finally some neighbors, found out what was going on. I mean, it's just, I don't even know. It's the stuff I hear on a daily basis, and now I'm getting calls from other people that are going on my list, and I can only deal with so much. So, like, if it's not somebody that's directly close to where I'm at, I have to pass it on to other people. But we're just working through it. It's a process.
Well, I get it, man. I get it. Steve, I'm sad to do it, but I have to leave it there. But
I know.
God bless
That's
you
all right.
for everything you're doing. I appreciate the continued updates. Steve Ansel is our man. Go find him on Facebook if you need to ask any other questions about what's going on there. We're going to continue to check in with the good people of Western North Carolina, East Tennessee. Our hearts go out to those folks not a month after they were devastated by Hurricane Helene. 24 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Craft Body Scan. For the entire month of October, Craft Body Scan is offering a special for you. It is a wonderful opportunity for you to get a full body scan at a $700 discount. That's right. Celebrating their 7th year in business, Craft Body Scan says, Nashville, it's time to give you $700 off your full body scan. What an opportunity, not just for huge savings, but to see your health clearly. I've done this, and let me tell you, it is so wonderful from a mental perspective to know that everything going on in your body is going A-OK, because you can't see in there, right? And you don't want to cut in there and look in there with your own eyeballs. You do it through the CT scan technology at Craft Body Scan. Non-invasive, obviously. It scans key areas like your chest, your heart, your lungs. It does your bone density. It scans your stomach area, your pelvis area. It evaluates all of these things, and it gives you back a full report for their qualified radiologist to go over. Celebrate Craft Body Scan's 7 years in business with $700 off this life-changing scan. Don't wait. Your health deserves it. Book today at craftbodyscan.com. That's craftbodyscan.com, or call 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000 for Craft Body Scan.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Death investigation after a man was found in the street last night in East Nashville. That's coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ken Weaver, can you answer me a question?
I'll try it, Brother Murphy.
What are the, and maybe we don't have time enough for it now, but what these glitches that they're talking about in voting machines in Davidson County and now Shelby County?
I have not studied that thoroughly.
Okay. All right. I need to study up on it. I'm going to try to do that during your newscast because I want to know, are we talking about the glitch of people not knowing how to operate the machines? Because that's not a voting machine glitch.
No, that's what Jeff Roberts, Davidson County Elections Coordinator, was talking about. People's fingers apparently were not hitting properly on the name.
Right.
So they brought in those stir sticks again.
Oh, yeah. The old stir sticks, they work, I guess.
But I don't know what's going on in Memphis. Apparently they're talking about some glitches happening in Memphis, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just if your finger is too big to hit the button properly, or if you don't know how to hit the button properly, that's not a glitch of the machine.
No.
Fat fingers is anti-democracy.
Use your pinky, people. I mean, the pinky finger.
Hey, grow your fingernails real long.
Yeah, I mean, just, Yeah, there are more than one ways to skin that cat when you go to vote.
Take a pen with you.
Take a pen with you.
Yeah.
Take one of them styluses, one of them fancy styli, as they call it. Oh yeah, they're all over. Tony in College Grove, real quick. Hey Tony, how are you?
Doing good, sir.
Hey Tony, I just made a tactical error. And so I'm going to ask you to hold on there because I just looked at my clock as I went to your phone call. And my clock on the wall tells me it's time for Ken Weaver's newscast. But you hang in there. I want to talk about Mickey D's with you in College Grove. I want to talk to Kenny in Hendersonville. I want to talk to, I guess that's Eve in the borough. That's an interesting way to spell it. And plenty of you calling in right now. 615-737-9986. We're going to figure out what this glitch is in Davidson and Shelby counties. We'll report back to you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. A death investigation in East Nashville. A man found in the street last night has died at Vanderbilt. And Channel 4's Lydia Fielder running down details with what surveillance video has revealed.
Detectives say James Sutton died on South 5th and Russell Streets in East Nashville last night. New surveillance video from Metro Police that they're investigating right now say they're investigating this as a homicide. They say James Sutton was assaulted by another man and then fell into the road. It's not clear if another car then hit him, but he was found with a severe head injury, police say, and then later died at Vanderbilt. They still have that surveillance video. We have reached out to see if they will release that. Police say they haven't made any arrests yet, but of course we're going to stay on top of this and keep you updated as we receive those updates as well.
As Channel 4's Lydia Fielder. Metro leaders today going to talk about license plate reader cameras. Metro Police Chief John Drake reiterating his support for them after the murder of Alyssa Lockett on the Mill Creek Greenway in Antioch. He says they would have helped solve the case faster. Going to be a community meeting tonight at 6 o'clock at Cane Ridge High School. You're going to have Metro Police there. Leaders from other departments will be there, and they want you there, too. And more than 100 people gathered for last night's memorial run to honor Alyssa Lockett, killed while jogging on the Mill Creek Greenway in Antioch last week. One of the participants recounting that night to Channel 4.
We were taking the trash out, and we heard, a noise that we didn't know was gunshots. Me and her were the same age. We both went to school here in Nashville for our doctoral degrees. We graduated the same year. It could have been me. Being a female, we just shouldn't have to worry about that. Being able to go out in public during the day, scared, it's just not something we should have to worry about.
Metro Police have charged Paul Park with criminal homicide. He's being held in the Davidson County Jail without bond. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
The Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions Center and Dr. Stephen Poss is continuing to welcome to our community Dr. Brian McLaughlin. Now, pardon me, Dr. McLaughlin has been in town for many months now, and he comes with the same exceptional credentials as Dr. Poss to help serve Middle Tennessee even better. As a matter of fact, they can double up that service to the community through their Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions. So here's the deal, friends. I did not know that I had sleep apnea, but I knew that I was not getting a night's sleep that I thought I should get. I was restless. I was not sleeping properly. Dr. Poss said, Murph, have you tried a sleep apnea, a sleep test? And I said, no. And I did, and I have sleep apnea. And now I have an FDA-approved device created specifically for me, for my mouth, by Dr. Stephen Poss, that helps gently hold my jaw forward, supports that jaw to help me be able to breathe better, to sleep better, to snore less, and to get a restful night's sleep. You could be next. If you are CPAP intolerant or if you have mild to moderate sleep apnea or are not sleeping properly, call Dr. McLaughlin, call Dr. Poss, and find out what they can do for you at the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. They're in network for most medical insurance, and now's the time of year to take advantage of that, plus 2 locations to serve in Brentwood and Murfreesboro. drposs.com, that's drposs.com. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice. Ask and ye shall receive. It's 38 minutes after the hour, by the way, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. We have a show between noon and 3. We call it The Murphy Show. It's a part of live and local conversation, starting early in the morning and finishing up at about 7 o'clock at night. Brian Wilson coming up with the drive after us. I say ask and ye shall receive because many of you have called in regarding potential voting weirdness at your polling place, because I'm asking what sort of glitches we're talking about in the polling places around the state of Tennessee. And we're getting some response on the membersnutrition.com super text line as well as on the phone lines. Yes, Bell.
Speaking of Members Nutrition text line, are you okay if I block Jason?
No.
Why not?
Why would you
He
block?
literally said Little Debbie is a threat to our democracy, and I think that's a bannable offense.
Well, I invited you to have McDonald's yesterday, and you said no. I mean,
he doesn't need to curse Little Debbie.
I don't know that he cursed Little Debbie. What are you talking
Jason
about?
is turning into an evil
Speaking
man.
of cursing, is that you cursing on the membersnutrition.com super text line?
No, that was Jason said that.
Oh, okay.
I saw a brand new Christmas donut by Little Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
Little B donuts.
You know, if Debbie eats all them snacks, she's not going to be little much longer.
Neither will Ken Weaver.
What was it?
I might still be 5'6", but
was it a Christmas tree, Ken?
Oh man. No, the Little B donuts covered in, Christmas-colored icing.
I bet you $5 I could eat an entire box of Swiss cake rolls.
You give me a glass of milk and I'll do it.
I'll dominate Swiss cake rolls.
But see, I'm bragging. If it comes down to it, I won't do it.
Well, that's right. You and I talk big, but when the McDonald's shows up, we run.
Ken would be like Newman in that episode of Seinfeld where he had to eat the muffin stumps.
I'll eat them stumps. I'll eat the tops, the stumps, and everything in between.
I might as well just start smoking again as to eat those Little Debbie donuts.
Somebody said it's not Little Debbie. Her full name is Little Diabetes.
Yeah, man. I mean, they got little sprinkles on them, little red and green icing.
Oh, Lord. Everybody's typing in their favorite Little Debbie's. Pumpkin Delights all year long, baby.
Oh, yes, sir. I forgot about those, especially if you put them in the freezer.
Little Debbie grew up to be Big Deborah. That's probably true, too. Hello, I'm Big Deborah. Y'all want some sugar?
Eat this donut.
Eat it. Christmas cake, donuts, and little muffins. Absolutely. And a lot of Big Deborah conversation. All right, Tony's in College Grove with a thought about Mickey D's. Hey, Tony.
How you doing, sir?
I'm great, Tony. I hope you are.
Just a shout out to the most important thing, which is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Most definitely. I love y'all's show. I listen to it at work all the time.
I'm glad you do, Tony.
Most definitely. It's a blessing. Well, we can get to the I heard the jar situation about the guy that had hamburger and then he had the McDonald's and one got molded and the other one didn't.
Correct, yes.
Totally true.
Oh, I saw it. Oh,
it's amazing. I mean, I don't know what they put into it. I mean, it tastes good. But
just a lot. I mean, I can only assume that there's just a tremendous amount of preservatives in there, which begs the question: why do they feel the need? I mean, I guess you have to preserve the food or the items on the front end before you cook them, but it's odd that I don't know. I don't know what they put in there.
Oh, there's no telling. I mean, have you ever seen the Morgan Spurlock documentary about Supersize Me?
Oh, yeah. He had to stop his project. They said he was going to kill him. Well, he's dead now, but they said that Spurlock was going to kill himself if he kept going, right?
Yeah, because his liver was going shut down, dude. I mean, he was eating like 3 times a day.
Yeah, if you've never seen the documentary that Tony's referring to, Morgan Spurlock, it's how he kind of made a name for himself as a documentarian. He committed to, for 30 days, he was going to eat only McDonald's food. And the one rule is that if they asked him to supersize, it was a time where they were doing these supersized fries and supersized drink. And the only rule was if they asked him if he wanted to supersize it, he had to say yes. Right. And he ate a variety of different items on the menu. And after about 20 days, he went to a doctor. The doctor said, if you don't stop this, you're going to kill yourself.
Yeah, he was even eating salads. I mean, it was still like killing him.
I don't even know that McDonald's has salads anymore, do they? I think they gave
it
up.
The McShakes. I don't know if they had the shaky.
Oh yeah, they used to. I remember that they put a salad in a cup and you pour the dressing on top of it and shake it up.
Yeah, most definitely.
It kind of became like a salad slurry.
What do we call it? Just a marketing thing?
Yeah, I mean, McDonald's managed to make salads the unhealthiest looking thing on the face of the earth.
I mean, I love you guys, man. I mean, because y'all been talking about like the last couple of days, and after watching when Trump like just totally blew it out the ballpark when he went to Pennsylvania and served up fries, and everybody says it's like a gimmick and all that, but you know what? I mean, look, man, don't let me get into Kamala because she's a joke.
Well, as Tony, thank you for the call. Thank you for reflecting on McDonald's and reminding me of the. It wasn't the they called it like McDonald's shakers. I want to say where they had salads in the big thing, and you put the dressing in there and you shake them up, and then the salad is just like drenched in full calorie ranch dressing or Thousand Island or whatever it is. It's like you think you're eating healthy and it's a 2,000 calorie salad.
You got some lettuce in your dressing?
A little bit of lettuce in the dressing. That's right. But you're right about Kamala Harris. As a matter of fact, our man was saying as much last night as his rally.
They should lose their license for that, right? The fake news is protected. How dare he say that? Why would he ever say lose it? They took her answer, threw it out, and gave her a new answer, and they're trying to defend it. Boy, can you imagine if that happened with me? It would be over. The electric chair. And by the way, does anybody have any doubt that they worked with her campaign to get rid of that stupid answer? She's a mess. She's a cognitive mess, and nobody wants to talk about it. And we can't have 4 more years. We had 4 years of it. We can't take another 4 years of it, can we?
Yeah, Donald Trump last night at a rally, Kamala Harris is a cognitive mess, and she does not have age and infirmity to blame as a result of her cognitive mess. But she is. The reason she's not doing more sit-downs is because the sit-downs that she's done have been an absolute disaster. Brett Baier, disaster. 60 Minutes, as I said yesterday on this subject, 60 Minutes had an exclusive. She had not sat down with anyone else other than 60 Minutes. Why in the world would 60 Minutes withhold over half of that interview from the public, except to protect her? If she did just fine, then release the transcript. If she did okay, then release the unedited tape. Why would you edit it? You claim you edited it for time. What's more important than a sit-down with Kamala Harris? What's more important than this election? Their excuse-making makes no sense. On one hand, 60 Minutes and CBS News tells us that this is the most important election of our lifetimes, that there is nothing more important for the future of the United States of America than the next commander-in-chief. That's what they tell us. And then they tell us simultaneously that they had to edit Kamala Harris's interview that they sat down and did with her, Bill Whitaker sat down and did with her. They had to edit it from 45 minutes to 21 minutes. They had to shave more than half of that interview. Why? If this election is the most important one in our lifetime and Kamala Harris performed well, why in the world would you not want more people to see her performance? Or, conversely, the alternative theory is that Kamala Harris sucked, that she did not perform well, that she delivered as she normally does, word salad interviews that are word salad answers to questions that make no sense during the interview. Well, we know she answered that way at least on one occasion, because Face the Nation with CBS, they got a copy of the tape prior to its air, and they aired a different edited version of an answer that she gave to a question.
They should lose their license for that, right?
That's exactly right, Mr. President. They should lose their license for that, or at very least be called out. I don't know that I would go so far as to say they lose their license, but at very least they should be called out as a result. And that's what we do on this show. 48 after the hour, let's talk to, we were questioning whether or not voting machines are performing properly in Davidson and Shelby counties, 2 locations that have reported what are being described as glitches. I don't know if these are glitches or maybe a miscommunication or a lack of direction on the part of voting officials at the polling places with regard to people coming in and not voting properly. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that is. George might know. Hey, George, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you, Matt?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for calling in.
Oh, my pleasure. And love your show. And I want to say, as a Christian, I think that you are full of the Holy Spirit.
Well, you're very
Everything I hear you talk about is spot on, and I love your show.
Well, bless you, George. Thank you for saying so. You're very kind.
But as far as the ballots go, I saw a news item on it this morning, and they got a ballot that has a column on the left with rectangular blocks for each candidate. And up in the left corner of that rectangular block, a little square. So it makes people think they're supposed to press that little square, like put like a check mark in it. But it's way up close to the border of the previous candidate, and if you touch that little box, it makes the previous candidate's rectangle light up. So that's what the problem is. What pisses me off, pardon my French, don't they check these machines out before they start using them and know that's a problem? But evidently they don't, or if they do, they don't care. So that's what's causing the problem. Is the design of the ballot.
So instead of, that's why they're putting, I think I saw a report earlier today where now some officials in some polling locations are putting notices on the actual machines to click the name and not the box. Is that would be why, right?
Yeah, well, they say that you can press that box anywhere and it'll light up for your candidate. You don't have to worry about hitting that little square.
Right.
But what people ought to remember is that you can check what you voted for before you finalize.
Well, I was about to say, the last time that I voted at Charlie Daniels Park in Mount Juliet in the primary, there were 2 occasions that I recall they wanted me to verify that my vote was correct. And one was on the screen, and then one was the printed ballot that I took over to the other machine.
Exactly.
So that's
what people have to remember. They need to check their vote before they finalize.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. 51 after the hour. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate you, George. 51 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Did you know one way or the other you're funding America's future? It's true, and it's not the future that you necessarily want for your kids if you have the wrong credit card in your wallet. Sadly, most major credit card companies funnel millions of dollars to liberal causes and to liberal candidates, and they just hope you won't notice. It's time to take a stand and get the woke out of your wallet. Coin is America's conservative credit card. You earn cash back while advancing a conservative future for you and your family and your children. Apply now at coin.com. Note this spelling now. Coin.com is COIGN.com. That's coin.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details. That's coin.com/disclosures.
Former President Trump addressing a roundtable with Latino supporters. And here in Nashville, supporters of the Choose How You Move transit sales tax increase are talking to voters today. That and more coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. Also coming up just after 2 o'clock, Courtney Johnston, who is on the Metro Council, will be speaking with us about her take on the transit tax, where she is on it, what she believes it will do, what it will not do. We'll also perhaps talk with her a little bit about congressional representation around town and license plate readers. That's all on the way. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Kenny is in Hendersonville. Kenny, thank you for joining us on the Matt Murphy Show. How are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm great. I just wanted to say that, one of the calls earlier, someone was kind of confused. And, the thing about it is you're always going to have, as you know, Van Gogh listeners. And they only listen with one ear. And you're going to have to put up with that. But the thing I really love about you as a host is you are so on it, and I really appreciate that. I'm a longtime listener. I've been listening to WTN for over a decade. And I tell you, you've really won me over as a listener to your show.
Well,
really.
thank you. Oh, you're kind, Kenny. Thank you for those. I can't hear you for the music, so I'm going to put you on hold if you have something else to say, because the music is very loud in my headphones right now. I don't know if it's loud for others, but one way or the other, we'll make it through the final hour together on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And Courtney Johnston's coming up. I'm excited about this conversation. That's next, right after the news on Super Talk.
Two o'clock on the dot this Tuesday afternoon. Almost took a day back. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes and late breaking news out of New York City. Rudy Giuliani has been ordered to turn over his luxury items and Manhattan apartment to the Georgia election workers a judge says he defamed. Election 2024, 2 weeks to go until Election Day, and both presidential campaigns hard at work, reaching voters in swing states. Former President Trump, before a rally in Greensboro, North Carolina today, was in Miami for a roundtable with Latino supporters.
Polls are looking great, and I think maybe more important than even the polls are the initial numbers are looking incredible.
More than 17 million people have voted in more than 3 dozen states that offer early voting. Registered Democrats have a majority in Pennsylvania and North Carolina so far, while Republicans edging out in Nevada and Arizona. Here in Nashville, supporters of Mayor Freddie O'Connell's Choose How You Move sales tax increase transit plan will be trying to drum up support today in Bordeaux.
The initiative includes a 24/7 transit service, new park and ride centers, and upgraded bus shelters. Supporters say that it's not just about convenience, though. It's also aiming to boost local businesses and job growth as well, especially in underserved areas like North Nashville. However, people against the plan say it does not address Nashville's biggest transportation problem, traffic. This is something that voters will ultimately get to decide. This Choose How You Move plan is on the same ballot as the presidential candidates. Early voting is underway now through the end of the month, and then Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th.
Yeah, so for one adult, this sales tax increase could mean paying an extra $4 per month in tax on groceries and other household goods based on average county costs, according to MIT's living wage calculator. A family of 4 could pay around $10 more per month if it passes. The Tennessee Highway Patrol says 5 people died. 3 others were hurt in a Rutherford County rollover crash that shut down I-24 for hours last week. All 8 people trapped in that van were from Georgia. The driver and 4 of his passengers died. A 17-year-old among those who were hurt. It happened Thursday on I-24 under the Highway 96 overpass, according to the Highway Patrol. And the man who was accused of drunk driving into a crowd of tourists Thursday night in Nashville, killing one, was supposed to be in court today, but Channel 4 says that's been rescheduled. 25-year-old John Williams accused of being drunk when he drove into the crowd of people on the sidewalk at 4th and Commerce, killing a Wisconsin man, Leroy Wanke, and injuring members of his family. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for U.S. Pest. The purpose of pest control is quite simple. J.K. and Erica Brister can tell you this when you make the call, or one of their qualified representatives can tell you this. The purpose is quite simple. It's to keep the bugs that you don't want on your property off your property. The very existence of pest control is found in the value of its key role, and that is to prevent disease from insects or rodents. They offer full-service pest control at U.S. Pest, termite protection, and crawl space service. But here's the way that I would describe it. These you work very hard for the things that you have in your life, your family, etc. And you don't need little communist bugs coming in and trying to glom on your system, right? And that's what they do. They want your warmth when it's cold outside. They want your cool when it's warm outside. They want your food all times of the year. Well, let's protect you from these communist bugs that want to take what's yours. Let's call U.S. Pest. Go to uspest.com for more information. Free pest inspection and termite inspection when you call at 615-590-1260. 590-1260 for our friends at U.S. Pest. Final hour of the Matt Murphy Show beginning right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Can't tell you how excited I am to introduce you to this hour and our next guest. So we've lots going on. Obviously, the presidential election, there's 2 weeks to go. Donald Trump is expected to have a sit-down with Joe Rogan later on in the week. I was told by many of you after mentioning this in the 12 o'clock hour, that's happening on Friday. If I'm not mistaken, several of you have indicated that to me, so I pass that along to you. So we're obviously discussing the presidential election and what we see in front of us. A lot of good news for those conservatives and libertarians out there that believe the best way forward is to have Donald Trump as our next president, the 45th and 47th president of the United States of America. We'll give you more on that coming up at about 2:35 this afternoon. A little bit closer to home, there's been a lot of conversation in several different arenas here in Nashville and Davidson County. One conversation has surrounded the presence of license plate readers and whether or not those will be fully implemented by the mayor's office to go into effect and to potentially positively impact the growing amount of crime that we see in our communities. Another consideration is on the ballot in 2 weeks when you go and vote, and maybe you've already voted in Davidson County. There is a transit tax on the ballot, and in an effort to discuss this and make you fully aware of what you'll be voting on, we have invited Metro Council person Courtney Johnston on the show with us, and she has graciously agreed. Courtney is in studio with us today, and she joins us. Hello, Courtney.
Hello.
All right, before we do any of that, I have to do something with you, or I have to talk to you about something.
Oh, God. Okay.
So we had you on when you were running for the 5th Congressional District, and I'm my normal, bombastic, loudmouth self. And we, had a little bit of a disagreement toward the end of the interview. But that did not necessarily impact the manner in which I voted in the primary. I regret the way that I voted in the primary. And I wanted to tell you that personally. And I wanted to tell it to you publicly, that I voted for Andy Ogles and I regret that vote. I wish I had voted for you.
Well,
and I wanted to tell you that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I've heard that from several people. And you do the best you can in a campaign to educate folks about who you're running against, why you're running against them, and then about what you have to offer. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And so I hope for the 5th Congressional District that whatever happens on November the 5th, that we will have representation that we deserve and the results in the district that we need.
I don't expect to agree with my elected representative on every single matter, but I do expect that our elected representation will be responsive to the community that they serve. And I'm sad to report that I don't believe that Andy has been that, certainly since the primary and perhaps even before. And that's unfortunate. That doesn't mean that I don't think that he would be a better vote in Congress than the alternative. I don't even know what the alternative would be. I don't even know if there's anybody on the ballot. I imagine that there's a Democrat that's running against him. But all that to say that you live and you learn. And I appreciate you coming back by, particularly because of the nature of the last portion of the interview that we last had in the studio. I'm glad that we were able to come together and talk about it and get you back in studio.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, I thank you for coming. And you still represent Davidson County as a Metro Council person.
I do.
A lot going on in Davidson County. What do you have you heard about these? Are there glitches? I've heard that there's glitches.
I saw something on the news about it. I'll say there's a little tiny box in the top left corner of each section where you have the name that you can choose. And if you're trying to touch that tiny little box at the top left corner, your fingernail can hit something different than what you're choosing. I don't know that it's necessarily a glitch. I would just encourage people to touch the name and not necessarily the box. But thankfully, we have several fail-safes where you can see what has actually been selected. And then when your ballot is printed, you can check to make sure before you put it in the scanner that the correct names that you have chosen have actually printed out. So, I'm not an IT professional and never will be, but I would just say make sure that you're checking the printed ballot, because that's what ends up going on record before you put that in the scanner.
That's good advice. And I think, and that's what I'm hearing mostly from people that have voted, that there's a feeling amongst people that you have to put that little bitty, teeny tiny little box. You don't. Just hit the name and you'll be all good. It'll go to a different shade and you have voted properly.
Yes.
Let's you want to go transit text first or LPRs first?
This is your show. I'm just here as a guest.
All right, let's do LPRs first.
Okay.
So I felt like this was a done deal. I felt like a majority of the Metro Council agreed that it was a done deal. Obviously, Chief John Drake says he made it clear, we need LPRs, license plate readers. It is a tool in their arsenal to do better work as a police force. We see this sad situation on this Greenway with this young woman losing her life. Luckily, an individual was apprehended. Chief Drake indicated that he feels like that person could have been caught even quicker with an LPR. Yet our mayor's office is slow rolling this and says, well, there are problems with the license plate readers that they need to iron out before they go into full implementation. Can you help us understand all of this?
My opinion is his thought process around the problems with the policy or the problems with LPRs are just his personal feelings about them. If you look back at every single vote that we've had, which we've had multiple, he's voted against them every single time. So as they say, a tiger doesn't change their stripes. LPRs are something that the police department have been begging for years and years. When I was first elected in 2019, I went to the department. Public safety is my number one topic and focus. And I said, what can I do? And they said, we need LPRs. And so I filed that legislation in 2020. It took 2.5 years, and my God, the fights, and just constant conversation and amendments and concerns and community meetings and responding to that in a way on policy. We finally passed the ordinance, which then allowed us to start the 6-month pilot. The 6-month pilot was obviously very successful. We had 112 felony arrests in really what amounted to be about 5 months. The pilot concluded, and we passed a resolution for the full implementation of LPRs over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so that obviously costs money. It's not a lot of money when you talk about a $3+ billion budget, operating budget that we have. But that money was not put into the budget by the mayor's office in this operating budget. But first things first, we have to approve the contracts. And those things, I think, are sitting on his desk. They are no longer in procurement. That was always, for months, they were saying, oh, it's stuck in procurement. No, it's not.
What does that mean? Legal?
Well, no, procurement is a function of finance. And so they go through and they look at what the different vendors are offering, how they match up with what we need, and who is the best vendor to provide this specific service.
Got it.
And so there's 2 or 3 that we have chosen because we've got the license plate readers that are in the cars that are mobile. We've got the ones that are on poles. So, so there's different functions. So that legislatively has to be, we have to accept those contracts. It's not in procurement anymore. And so now we say, oh, well, we need to fix the policy. The policy doesn't work. Well, if the policy didn't work, then the pilot wouldn't have been as successful. And for a policy that we've discussed for over 2.5 years, I think it's pretty well hashed out. And there's, if it's minor things, those are things that the contracts wouldn't be held up for. The honest to God truth is, I think everything in this city is on hold until this transit deal is on the ballot, whether it passes or fails. That's the focus. Apparently, we are a city that just wants to focus on transit right now and nothing else.
It feels like, and I got the same feeling when O'Connell was on our show earlier in the month, where we asked him about LPRs. He said, I'm still reviewing everything. We're making sure that we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the sentiment. And it feels that way. It feels like he's afraid of offending certain voting groups that he needs to vote for this transit tax. That's what it feels like. I'm not trying to put myself inside of his head, but your characterization kind of feels the same way, that he doesn't want anything to get in the way of people voting yes on this transit tax. That's the way it feels.
I would agree with that. Certainly I can't speak to what's in his brain either. But that's certainly what it seems as if it's happening. The problem is that we have a huge county, a huge metropolitan government that has a lot of needs. There are a lot of projects that are going on, and you can't have one singular issue put everything else on hold.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when it's something as important as public safety.
Do you know what he means? I'm looking at some of the articles that have been written by local media, and I'm specifically looking, I'll give them credit, Fox 17 wrote an article regarding license plate readers. And Mayor O'Connell said to Dennis Ferrier that he would be happy to fund LPRs once they get the policy right. What does that mean? I don't understand what that means.
I don't know. And who's to say it's right? Is he the one to say it's right? Whose opinion? Because we have a council body of 40 people that voted, the majority voted that we could fully implement with this policy. The policy passed first, then we had a resolution to fully implement. And both of those passed by a majority in the council, and that was granted the previous council. But so is it a singular decision? Right, by the mayor to say, well, the policy isn't right, and what about the policy is not right? I saw last night they listed the 7 things or something that came from these community meetings. Well, some of it is nonsense, and the rest of it has been handled in the policy itself, which I've brought with me.
Well, I want to go over, because the mayor's office did respond, because he was asked, like, what policies are you talking about? What do you mean when you say that? And his office responded and sent Fox 17 several different things. And I want to go over these because, like you say, Courtney, these don't make a lot of sense, some of them. For example, ensuring LPRs are placed equitably. I don't know what that means. I would think that you would want to put license plate readers in the communities that might most need them because of the crime that is affecting members of those communities. But it feels like some portions of of the communities that would be best served by these LPRs don't want them?
I don't see that at all.
Okay.
There are, well, that's the narrative.
Right.
What you're saying
Right.
is what the narrative is.
Right.
But the reality is that the neighborhoods that are over-policed, and I put that for those that are not watching in air quotes, that are over-policed are over-victimized. When you look at the crime data and you see those hotspots, that's where they need to go. Regardless of that, we have taken into account the equitable placement by dividing the county into 4 quadrants and making sure that there's the same number of cameras in each quadrant, because how else are you supposed to do it?
Right.
And so we have addressed the equitable placement of it, but they do need to be where the crime is happening. It's a nonsense excuse.
Well, and some of the other things seem like simple fixes that if you wanted to solve them, you could. Ensuring that data used to initiate police interactions are sourced from trustworthy sources.
Yeah, well, so the only people that can put items into the NCIC database, which is sort of your hot list of who we're looking for or the license plates that we're looking for, is law enforcement.
Right, so those would naturally be trustworthy sources.
Unless you are a group of people that don't trust the police and don't like the police.
Right, so we're listening to people that don't like the police in terms of how the police would be able to do their jobs in order to better protect those very people.
Right, but those same people are the ones that will complain when the time to respond to calls for service takes too long. It's like, well, we don't have enough police officers because we're having a hard time recruiting and retaining because of the narratives that are being put forth by this very small group of people, which is why the last time I was interviewed, I had a call to action to say, we've got a small group of people that are complaining and that are against the police department, when the vast majority of people support the police department and want to feel safe in their communities. That group needs to start being loud.
So, I mean, do you think it is truly a matter of Mayor O'Connell not hearing from that larger majority that perhaps is not being heard as well as the minority of folks that want to complain about license plate readers to the point that they don't exist in Nashville?
Sure, and his own personal feelings. I mean, he made that very clear in the last 3 years that we were debating this, that he doesn't like LPRs. He doesn't trust the technology. So,
I don't understand and I know that I'm asking you to get inside of his head, but based on your experience with him on the council and now as mayor, what is there not to trust? I don't quite understand. I mean, it feels to me like it is another version of, I don't know, radar detection, right? I mean, we use radar to measure speed to know whether or not definitively a person is going beyond the speed limit so as to pull them over and give them a ticket. It seems that this, in a lot of ways, is a more serious matter in terms of some of these individuals that are wanted through these LPR technologies are felons. I mean, you mentioned the 112 felonies that felons that were apprehended as a result of the test pilot program.
Yeah, I mean, I can't add anything else to that. It's very frustrating. It doesn't matter what you try to do. There's always a reason not to. There's always an argument against, and sometimes those arguments combat each other. I mean, you just talk in circles.
Have you experienced, and once again, I'm not here necessarily just to bash on the mayor because, I mean, he can speak for himself, but it occurs to me that he has a difficult time making hard decisions that are going to be somewhat controversial during his tenure. I mean, outside of the transit tax, which one could say, okay, well, he got that pushed forward. He got it on the ballot. So perhaps that is the one controversial opinion that he has offered as mayor. Can you think of another decision that he has made regarding LPRs or anything else within the city?
In the past year, there's been nothing but transit. That has been the focus, period.
23 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Courtney Johnston is with us. She's on the Metro Council talking about matters specific to Davidson County. We will get to the transit tax in just a moment on Super Talk. Speaking of how good cameras work in particular situations, y'all should go over to Mark at Nashville Safe House and ask Mark about his camera work regarding his facility right across the street from City Cemetery on 4th Avenue South. Oh, yeah, There's a great backstory there involving former Mayor Megan Barry. But I digress. Mark and Nashville Safe House. You walk into the showroom and you will see an incredible selection of safes of all shapes and sizes. And you think, man, oh man, I've never seen this many safes in a room in my life. And you haven't. I mean, they have Fort Knox. They have Browning. They have Rhino. They have Superior. All the name brands that you know and love. They have various fire ratings, various shapes and sizes. And this is a third of the total safes that they have. They have another 2/3 in their warehouse. They have the safe right for you. They'll have one of their professional delivery crews deliver it for you. If you're looking for a safe to protect yourself and to protect your family, to protect your valuables, to protect your Second Amendment rights, it's time to get it from Nashville Safe House. They're simply the best. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com. That's NashvilleSafeHouse.com. Or stop by. Say hello to Mark and his team. Ask him about that story regarding Cindy Cemetery. He loves to tell that story. It's Nashville Safe House.
Metro leaders today going to talk about license plate reader cameras with the community. And you've got a Metro Council member, District 26, Courtney Johnson, in studio right now talking about it. And we'll hear more in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. Ken Weaver back in the newsroom, news closet, I should say. Bel K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. Here in studio, I am Matt Murphy, and Courtney Johnston joins us talking about matters involving Davidson County, Nashville, Metro. So, transit tax, you're a no?
I am a no.
Tell me why.
So, and I want to be clear, I'm not here to tell anybody how to vote. I think that my job as a legislator, when something is on the ballot as a referendum, is to educate folks so that they can make a good decision for them. They may understand what the facts are and still vote yes. They may vote no. That's not my job. My job is to educate. And I'm interested in outcomes. And if we are looking at increasing taxes and taking out $3.1 billion of a loan that once it's paid back after 30 years equals $6.9 billion, I want to make sure that the outcomes that are being promised are actually going to be delivered. And when you think critically about each of the things that is in this transit proposal, and it is a proposal, not a plan, everything is conceptual. It says it in there. So nothing is in stone. You're looking at sidewalks, signals, and service. I don't care how many sidewalks you've got in this county. People are not going to start leaving their cars at home to walk everywhere. We are sprawled. You're not going to walk to the grocery store. You're not going to walk to work. You may walk recreationally. You may walk to your neighborhood pub or whatever. Within a mile radius probably is something that's reasonable to think. Are they nice to have? Absolutely. Is it going to solve or even make a dent in our transit issues? No, it's not.
And we already are constructing miles and miles of sidewalk on an annual basis. So it's not as if we're not already doing that.
Right. And they're talking about another basically less than 6 miles per year because they're talking about 86, I think, miles over the course of 15 years. Do that math. So we're actually doing more now than what the plan promises. So then moving on to signalization. Well, we've been talking about synchronization anyway for quite some time. That's never happened because we made the foolish decision to purchase software back in 2012 to synchronize, but it didn't work with our hardware. So totally useless waste of money there. Synchronization and modernization is necessary. I think that's a good investment, but is it going to have a major impact? They themselves say it's a 10% improvement. And only on local streets. So if you decide you need to get somewhere within the county using only local streets and it takes you 45 minutes to get there, you're talking about making less than 5 minutes of an improvement for $6.9 billion. And that's in today's time. So as we continue through the years, we're going to get more and more cars on the road because population is doing nothing but increasing.
The most important component of this is the third, and I don't want to rush you on even the second. Can you hang around?
Yeah,
for just a moment?
Sure.
All right, I've got Ken Weaver coming up in the newsroom. He's going to deliver some headlines, and we'll continue talking with Courtney. And I know Dan has a thought. It says Courtney is right, so I feel necessary to get to Dan's call after the break because he says that you're right. I think I owe you that much. 615-737-9986. If you have a thought, it's 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And Metro leaders today are going to talk about license plate reader cameras with the community. Metro Police Chief John Drake reiterating his support for them in the light of the apparent random murder of Alyssa Lockett on the Mill Creek Greenway in Antioch. Chief Drake says they would have helped solve the case faster. District 26 Metro Council member Courtney Johnston is in studio on WTN's Matt Murphy Show. Here's what she says.
LPRs are something that the police department have been begging for years and years. When I was first elected in 2019, I went to the department. Public safety is my number one topic and focus. And I said, what can I do? And they said, we need LPRs. And so I filed that legislation in 2020. It took 2.5 years, and my God, the fights.
The community meeting takes place tonight at 6 o'clock at Cane Ridge High School. Metro Police and other departments will be there, and they want you, the public, to be there too. More than 100 people gathered for last night's memorial run to honor Alyssa Lockett, killed while jogging on the Greenway in Antioch. One of the participants recounting that night.
We were taking the trash out and we heard, a noise that we didn't know was gunshots. Me and her were the same age. We both went to school here in Nashville for our doctoral degrees. We graduated the same year. It could have been me. Being a female, we just shouldn't have to worry about that. Being able to go out in public during the day, scared, it's just not something we should have to worry about.
Yeah, emotional there on Channel 4. Metro Police have charged Paul Park with criminal homicide. He is being held in the Davidson County Jail without bond. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, it's Matt Murphy. Did you know, gentlemen, especially you gentlemen, but ladies too, that you can lose up to 50% of your hair before you actually notice it? I was fascinated to learn this, but when I went to PAI Medical and talked to their qualified staff, they said, yes, that it is the stalk of hair that shrinks in size that leads to thinning hair. And eventually that stalk of hair dies, it falls out, and then you don't have a stalk of hair anymore. And if that happens enough, then you have balding patterns. I was like, look at my hair and tell me what's going on. Well, they indicated to me that my hair was thinning just a little bit around the crown. Wanted to do something to blanch that. This is long before my Locks for Trump days, right? So I went in and got the FDA-approved laser treatments to make my hair thicker and fuller and to prevent any further hair loss. And it is working like gangbusters. Now, whether you're just beginning to lose your hair or you've been losing it for a while, We Grow Hair is the only clinic in Nashville with all of the proven results. They have the FUE hair transplant procedure. Results are guaranteed. They have the multi-unit hair grafting procedure. Results guaranteed. Call today at 615-376-6010 or go to WeGrowHair.com. You can get restored hair growth through We Grow Hair. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy, Courtney Johnson, and you, Johnston.
Don't forget the T.
Don't forget the T in Johnston. No P in Thompson. There's a T in Johnston.
You spent your entire life saying no P in Thompson, and now you've got to put the
I got to put the T in Johnston. Courtney Johnston is with us, Metro Councilor and a former 5th Congressional District candidate. And if you're just joining us, I apologized from the jump for not voting for Courtney and for being mean to her the last time she was here. But that's water under the bridge now. I hope.
Yes.
I hope. We'll see.
Yeah.
So we're talking about this transit tax plan. So the idea is, and I just need to back up and make sure that everybody that's listening is fully aware of what we're talking about. So it's a half of a cent sales tax.
Correct.
On everything that you do in Davidson County or non-food related, I guess?
No,
or
everything.
Everything you do in Davidson County. Mm-hmm. And it's expected to generate how much money a year?
I think the number, don't quote me, but I think it's $150 million a year.
Okay. And so this would go to sidewalk projects, additional sidewalk projects.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
6 miles basically a year.
Yep.
Somewhere
almost.
around those lines.
Yep.
And then the signaling system, and you said this off air, that total amount would be $800 million?
I think that's the number, is the cost of the signalization modernization. And
that feels like a lot of money.
Well, I mean,
I guess you're replacing hardware and software. So you're replacing like physical structures in the signals and the software that runs. These are going to be smart type signals that like are aware of traffic patterns as they happen, I guess.
Correct. They communicate with each other. They respond in real time to traffic patterns and things like that. I think that it's necessary. My concern is putting it in a much more expensive package than I think is necessary when I'm focused on outcomes. What is the outcome? If we are looking to take cars off of the road or manage cars more efficiently on our local roads, are we going to get the bang for the buck? And I don't think that $6.9 million over the course of 30 years, that's my opinion. I just don't think we're going to get the outcomes that we're looking for there. Okay, so
set that one aside and let's talk about the bus piece. So that seems to be the most expensive part of this.
Correct.
What are we talking about here? Are we talking about additional bus routes? Are we talking about additional bus lanes? What is your understanding of this?
My understanding is that it probably is additional routes, which I don't disagree that we need more cross-county routes. You shouldn't have to go from my neighborhood in Creve Hall all the way into downtown just to come back out to go to Green Hills. We should have more cross-county routes to make it more efficient. I don't disagree with that. But this is 12 transit centers, 24/7 transit centers that will be located throughout the county. It's my understanding that only 4 of those have actual addresses that have been identified. The other 8 are concepts that are ideas in certain areas. So where are they actually going to be? What is the cost of that land acquisition? Then you have...
Will they use eminent domain in order to acquire that land? I asked Freddie about that. He was noncommittal. He said, we'll try not to.
Right.
Everything in our power to not do that.
Right. But, I mean, when you... try to find that kind of square footage that you need in order to put a 24/7 transit hub somewhere. I just don't know where you do that without having, because it has to be strategic. There's only certain areas. You can't just put it in the middle of a neighborhood. That doesn't make sense. It has to be at some sort of intersection that makes sense.
Right.
And so you are looking at probably some eminent domain. Then the question is, well, what about transit-oriented development, which is high-density, affordable housing around those transit centers? Is that in the plan? No, but it makes sense. I don't disagree with transit-oriented development, but that's an additional cost. That's an additional planning aspect of this that has not been discussed. And so, again, when we're talking about the goal is to take cars off of the road or to manage cars more efficiently, is expanding the bus system actually going to do that? Are we going to increase ridership in a meaningful way? I just don't think that the reality, maybe we should ideologically ride the bus, but the reality is I don't think that that's going to happen.
I don't know that there's a large segment of our Nashville population that needs to or wants to ride the bus that would not be doing so because of a lack of availability, right? So if you believe, as Freddie and some of the supporters of this tax would suggest, you would believe that but for the lack of availability, there would be more ridership. I don't believe that that's the case. I think people ride the bus because they have to.
I agree with you. The other thing that they say as part of a sales pitch is that, well, 60% of this sales tax is going to be paid for by people that don't live in Davidson County. Exactly. Because we've got so many people that are coming into this county from our collar counties because they commute in.
Mm-hmm.
Do we really think or expect that people from Williamson County, Rutherford County, Wilson County are going to stop at the county line and park their car at a park and ride to get on the bus to take it in the rest of the way?
No.
That's not reasonable, and that's not going to happen.
Well, and O'Connell said during our visit, and once again, this is from memory, so don't quote me on this, but he said that, this is not necessarily designed to take automobiles off the road. It's designed to make bus passengers, the bus availability more closer to the people that need it. And and I'm just recalling what he said. But I don't think it's going to effectively do it either way. I don't know that I think you need more roadways. I think you need to recognize that you have almost 100 people moving into the Metro Nashville area on any given day. And you recognize that most of those people are going to get behind the wheel of their car and they're going to drive their car unless they are forced to do something else. And obviously, it's not the government's job to force them to do something else.
I agree with you. I just don't think that we're going to get the return on our investment, as I wrote my article about return on investment, because I'm looking at outcomes. What is the outcome of this huge investment? And when you've got $150 million coming in every single year, but more than 50% of that, up to 60% of that goes to interest on the bonds, you're not even getting the full amount of the actual revenue because you're paying interest on a loan that you're taking out.
And the second component of the bus lines, in addition to the transit, would be additional bus lanes. And I asked O'Connell about this, and he says, well, in most cases, we'll have the ability to expand the lanes. But if we don't, I asked him, I said, are you taking over automobile lanes to use for bus traffic? Because that would seem to me to be a little counterintuitive with regard to what the idea is, and that is to lessen the burden on our roads through this transit tax. And he said that we're going to try not to do that in any way that we can.
But if his goal is not necessarily to take cars off the road, didn't he just say that? Like, that's what I don't understand, is that we talk in circles. And the fact that I'm not against buses. Buses serve a purpose for a part of our population that is very, very important. But I don't think that this massive expansion is going to solve our problems in any meaningful way. I think we can do it differently. I think we can do it in smaller chunks. I don't necessarily agree with taking out the $3.1 billion in bonds, which is a loan that most of the money goes to the bondholder in the form of interest, when we can take that money and send it to NDOT. You can't imagine the number of projects that NDOT has pending that are unfunded that could go to helping efficiently flow traffic and make our pedestrians safer and increase, the safety in our intersections and crosswalks and things like that. And we can't do it. Paving. Our paving budget is woefully underfunded. This does nothing for paving. So And people complain about our potholes all the time.
Right. So the upshot is this, that we're told by the supporters of this that it's a $3.1 billion project. It's not.
Right.
Is that a fair assessment? It's certainly going to be more than that.
That is the principal amount of the revenue bonds that we are going to be issuing. The final cost.
30-year bonds?
30-year bonds. When you add in all of debt service, which is principal and interest, is $6.9 billion, but it also does not take into account any land acquisition or development around the proposed 12 transit centers or any other thing that is part and parcel to this concept that we're supposedly voting on.
Will this sunset? I mean, is that in the language of the bill?
What I was told by our finance director is that once these 30-year bonds are issued and that revenue is designated, that half a cent sales tax revenue is designated to pay that debt service, once those bonds have been paid off at the end of the 30 years, by state law, it has to stop. The other way it could stop is if the council votes to stop it, and I can guarantee you that will never happen.
Well, that will never happen. And I don't think it'll ever be paid off either. I mean, I think you roll those bonds over and you continue that half-cent sales tax in perpetuity, but you and I will probably be dead by the time those decisions are made, or at least I will. I don't think you will, Courtney. I'm much older than you. So let's get to Tom in Nashville with a thought on LPRs. Tom, very quickly.
Hi there. So I have a point. I agree with everything that's been said so far about license plate readers and Freddie O'Connell's delay tactics, right? I think another important point to add is that he wants to leave the door open for other vendors. Something people need to understand is that the vendor that has been at the top of the list is Flock Safety automatic license plate readers. They're already implemented in Mount Juliet and Hermitage, I believe, and other counties, adjacent counties to Davidson. They've been fully vetted. They're past legal review. They're past privacy policy review. The thing about Flock Safety is that they're for law enforcement. They were developed and launched and founded by law enforcement officers. So there's that aspect. But they don't share the data, okay? So they're not sharing the data with your car repossession companies. They're not sharing the data with, banks. They're not sharing the data with private investigators, okay? And this is a really important point. Freddie would like to leave the door open, I believe, for other vendors that would be more beneficial to his interests because they do sell the data to those other third parties. And I think that's an important point. But also,
let me go ahead quickly because I'm limited on time. I got to get Courtney's response.
The security is just as secure as your Apple iPhone. It's using the exact same principle in the back end. I have one in my neighborhood. I'm in Nashville, Davidson County. We've helped Metro with 3 cases. And most recently, FBI and ATF had also contacted us for help. We have to authorize their access. Literally, I have to provide them the right key to get the images. It's very secure. So security is not an issue. It's special interest groups.
Yeah, I mean, I think the special interest used that security piece as a reason to oppose something that they would otherwise oppose.
The policy that we wrote took into account I've been told that if we aren't the most restrictive policy in the country, that we are top 3. And privacy is one of those things. As far as data, Metro owns that data. Flock Safety, for example, wouldn't even have access to the data. We cannot sell the data. It's in the policy. It's literally against the law. The other thing that I did when we were looking at that is because typically any data that is owned by the government is subject to the Open Records Act. And so I went to our state legislators and said, hey, let's take LPR data out of that to protect against that. And they graciously did that. So when you talk about the security of the data, it's incredibly secure. We're the ones that own it. There's only a certain number of people that are allowed to access that data. And when they do, that's in a database in and of itself, who it is, why they searched it, what they were searching for, all of that. So it's incredibly secure.
Courtney, great stuff. I mean, obviously, in 2 weeks, we'll get a determination as to how people are voting on the transit tax. Do you believe, final thought on this, do you believe that should the transit tax, well, one way or the other, Freddie's been a little bit non-committal about the issue of property taxes. I think he said to a local interviewer that he wasn't thinking about property taxes until we dealt with the transit tax issue. Do you think property tax increases are on the table in 2025 if this doesn't pass?
I think it's on the table regardless of if it passes, and I think that's one of the reasons why we are pushing this transit referendum for this specific election, not only for the turnout because of the presidential election, but also because I think that once that property tax goes into effect, any sort of other increase in taxes would be a 100% no-go.
Got to watch out for it. Courtney Johnston, thank you.
Absolutely.
Metro Councilor Courtney Johnston, good conversation. 51 after the hour. Back with a thought from Brian Wilson on what's coming up on the drive right after this. You don't have to wait until Election Day to start taking this country back. You can get into the fight right now with Coin. It is the conservatives' credit card. Instead of funneling millions of dollars, and these other cards, I mean, sadly, a lot of them do this. They funnel money to leftist causes and to woke agendas. Coin doesn't do any of these things. Coin advances conservative values and give to conservative charities. Earn cash back while fighting back. Apply now at coin.com. Let's check the spelling now. COIGN.com. That's coin.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details. That's coin.com/disclosures.
All right.
It's my favorite part of the day when we come in on the last segment and I get to listen to Wilson bebopping.
You're done. That's what it meant.
I mean, it's because I'm partially, maybe a little bit because I'm done.
It's my favorite time because I'm done.
Oh, yeah. It's my favorite time to find out what's happening on the drive. What's up, Wilson? How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Yeah?
Again, I'm just loving this weather. I think it's just fantastic. Sometimes the weather's so nice that the bulldog don't want to come to work with me no more, and she just wants to be out in the backyard. But anyway, no, it's good. I found another way to sort of look at this election. And it's not quite as reliable as polling, and there's people who think that polling is not all that reliable, and certainly has been unreliable in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But this way does tend to suggest that like the polling, that something is happening and it's good for our side.
Okay.
And it all has to do with early voting in states where they can identify how many of the early votes came from Republicans and how many came from Democrats. And Republicans are moving to this idea of voting early in a big way. And you can make some predictions off that. And we're going to talk about that, especially in some of the battleground states like Nevada and Michigan, where it looks like Trump, is poised to pull off a win, and the blue wall may be crumbling.
Well, I mean, and I actually had some solace today when I spoke to somebody in North Carolina in Fairview, and he said that he voted, and he was on air with us and said that he has seen good voting practices and people trying to get those rural communities the ability to vote in North Carolina, which you and I talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that, Mr. Wilson. That's happening right after Ken Weaver coming up with the news. Ken's got the newscast, and Brian's got the drive for the next 4 hours on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And don't forget about our big election night watch party. That is in 2 weeks. We are excited as can be about it at the Ag Center, and you're invited to be a VIP. There are 30, count them, 30 tickets, VIP tickets available. You get food, you get drink, you get specialty seating. Go to 997WTN.com for more information. We're back tomorrow. Until then, enjoy the drive. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.